Hello, my name is Jason Murray and I'm Architecture Consulting Engineer with Cisco Systems. This is the second in a 5-part video series which walks you through the initial setup of UCS to get you to the point where you can install UC on UCS. In this video, I will go through the initial setup of UCS Manager. So let's get started. So you're looking at a brand new UCS Manager with just the fabric interconnects configured. I'm going to walk you through the basic setup that most users will need to get up and running. There are many different configuration options with UCS. I won't be able to go through all of them in this video, but this will get you to the point where you can start creating service profiles and getting your servers up. So as I expand the fabric interconnects, you'll see two listed because I configured two in a cluster earlier. One will be primary and one will be secondary. As you can see, fabric A is the primary. As I expand each fabric interconnect out, you'll be able to see more detail on each. The fixed module is just that, a module that is fixed and can't be removed. As you can see, there are server, uplink, and unconfigured ports. Right now, all the ports are unconfigured. So what I'm going to do is configure the ports that are connected to my chassis. Those will be 1 and 3 on each fabric interconnect. UCS gives you many different ways to configure one thing. One way you can configure a port is by highlighting it and clicking to configure as a server port. I'll click yes here to configure it. As you can see, it moved from the unconfigured port section to the server port section. You can also right click on the port and configure it as a server port. Now that I have these two server ports configured, you can now see that a couple chassis are showing up in the manager. So now that I have fabric A configured, let's go down to the second fabric interconnect and configure the server ports on there. So again, we'll go down to the fixed module section, unconfigured ports, and this time I'll take port 1 and drag it up to the server port section just to show you another way to configure these ports in UCS. We'll click OK, and then let's configure port 3. Highlight it and configure as server port. Now that I have the server ports configured, let's highlight the equipment section here. This is where we can look at the physical layout of how everything is connected. So if I go over to the chassis section, I can expand this and see what all is installed in the chassis. As you can see, in chassis 1 we have 3 servers, and in chassis 2 we have 2 servers. One thing you'll be doing in the UCS Manager is using the IP KVM to connect into your server. This is what's going to give you your remote keyboard, mouse, and video. But as I'm going to demonstrate, you can't do that just yet. So as you can see in this message, it tells me I don't have an IP address set to be able to reach this server. Would I like to assign one? Now if I click yes, it'll take me to configure a block of IP addresses. I won't do that here because I want to show you where to go to do that. So I'm going to close this window and go over to the admin tab. Now with this filter drop down, I can clean up my window here and look at only the communication management section. So we'll scroll down to the management IP pool. And then we'll go up and click on the General tab. And this is the same screen that popped up earlier. So I'll go ahead and create a block of IP addresses. The from box is the first IP address in your block. So I'm going to put my IP address in here from where I want to start from. And then in the size section, this is how many IPs are going to be in this particular block. Then you have your subnet mask and your default gateway. And I'm going to come over here and click OK. And my block of IP addresses has been created successfully. Now if I go up here to the IP addresses tab, I can already see that those IP addresses have automatically been assigned to my servers. So now if I go back to the equipment tab and go back to our server and then click on KVM console, you can see now we get our video from our server. Since I'm talking about pools, let's go ahead and create a few more pools to get up and running. Pools are what you're going to use to make your life easier and let UCS keep track of all your configurables. It's going to automatically pull info out of these pools to configure your servers using service profiles, which we will create later. First, we will go to the LAN tab and create a MAC pool. Your MAC pool is where you're going to assign MACs to the VNICs on your servers. So right-click on MAC pools, choose Create MAC Pool, put a name here. I'll skip the description and I'll choose Next. Go ahead and click on Add. Now I'll put in my first MAC address in this pool. And then I'll create a pool of 20 and click OK. And finish, and our MAC pool is created. Now I'll go up here and expand this, and you can see the range of MAC addresses it just created. That's all the pools for the LAN tab. Let's go ahead and go to the SAN tab and look at our pools there. As you can see, we have a worldwide node name pool and a worldwide port name pool. So we'll right click on node name pool and create the pool. Go ahead and give it a name and click Next. We're going to click Add. We'll type in our first node name in the block. We'll give it a size of 8. Click OK. Finish. And our node name block is created. We'll do the same thing for port name pool. We'll right click on it, create port name pool, give it a name, click Next, and add first address in the port name block. We'll give this a size of 8 as well. And we'll click OK and finish. And our port name block is created. Now we have both pools we need for the SAN setup. So let's configure UCS to connect to the LAN. So we're going to go in the Equipment tab and we're going to expand Fabric Interconnect A. And then we're going to go down to the unconfigured ports. Now in our lab we have ports 11 through 14 that connect to the LAN. So what we're going to do is we're going to select each one of those and we're going to configure each one as an uplink port. Now this first Fabric Interconnect I'm going to go ahead and do it the long way because we have port channels in our configuration. So when we go to Fabric Interconnect B, I'll show you a little easier way, a little faster way to do this. For now we're just going to select each one, click OK. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our LAN tab. We're going to select all. And we're going to go below Fabric Interconnect A and right click on port channels, click Create Port Channel. We're going to have an ID of 1. Go ahead and put a name in there. Click Next. We're going to select our 4 ports, arrow over, and then we're going to click Finish. And then click OK. Now we got the port channel created. Now we need to enable it. So expand here. We'll click on this and choose Enable Port Channel. Yes. And then you can see up here at the top it went to link up. Now it's enabled. We'll go back to the Equipment tab. And now what we're going to do is we'll configure Fabric Interconnect B. As you can see, there's no uplink ports created. So let's go ahead and go into our LAN tab. Expand Fabric B. Right click on Port Channels. Create Port Channel. We can keep 1. We'll give it a name. Next, do the same thing. We'll click on 11 through 14, move those over, finish, And now we've created our port channel. Let's go ahead and get in there and enable it. Right click on it this time, choose enable port channel. So yes, from admin down to link up. And now if we go back to the equipment tab and look, we have our uplink ports right there. And that was the easy way of doing things. So now what I'm going to do is create a VLAN for our servers to use. As you can see, each fabric interconnect has its own VLAN configuration, and there's a section down here for global VLANs. VLAN 1 is already configured for you, so what I'm going to do is right click on VLANs and choose Create VLAN. Here I can create a global VLAN or choose to configure a VLAN on each individually. I'm going to keep it as global and give it a description and an ID of 199. OK, and my VLAN is created. Now I have VLAN 199 in the global VLAN section. And that's all I'm going to be configuring on the LAN side, so let's go into the SAN side and create some VSANs. As you SAN admin know, when you're configuring your SAN, you're going to keep each path separate. So instead of creating a global VSAN, I'm going to create a VSAN for each fabric interconnect. I'm going to right click on Fabric A's VSAN and choose Create VSAN. I'm going to give it a description. I'm going to choose Fabric A because I only want to go on the Fabric A side. My VSAN ID is going to be 77. And I'm going to keep the FCOE VLAN as 77 as well to make it easier. And I'm going to click OK. And our VSAN 77 is created. Now it shows up under the Fabric A side. I'm going to go do the same for Fabric B. So right click, Create VSAN. I'll give it a description. And I'll choose Fabric B this time. The VSAN ID of 88. Same thing for the FCOE. And then I'll click OK. And our second VSAN is created. And you can see that VLAN 88 is created. So I'm going to go to my equipment tab and I'm going to configure my fiber channel ports to use those VLANs. Fabric A is using port 1, so I'll click on this one. You can see it's in a fail state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from the default VLAN to VLAN 77, which matches our storage setup. I'm going to click Save Changes. Okay, and you can tell that it's already went green because it matched what we have on our storage switch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with Fabric B. It's in the expansion module 2. So this time it's on port 2. Highlight that. I'm going to choose VSAN 88. Click Save Changes. And OK. And you can tell it's working because it went up. And that's the basic setup of UCS. Like I mentioned earlier, there are many different configuration options. This basic setup will get you up and running so that you can create your server's profile to apply to your servers later. I will cover those steps in the next video in this series. Thanks for watching, and always thanks for choosing Cisco.